welcome back. Today we're diving into something kind of a bubbly mystery.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
It really is. It's all about Prosecco, the Italian sparkling wine.
Sure, yeah, who doesn't love a little Prosecco now and then?
Exactly. But here's the thing. U.S. importers are suddenly stockpiling it, like way more than usual.
Really? Why is that? I mean, wasn't there a lot of overstock during the pandemic?
That's what makes it so strange. Warehouses are still kind of packed from all that stuff.
Huh. So what's the deal then? Got any clues?
Well, we're going to try to unpack it all today. Our main source is this article from the drinks business. It's called U.S. Importers Stockpile Prosecco to Get Ahead of Tariffs.
Tariffs, huh? That sounds like it could be related to the election.
Right. It was just published like a week ago on February 7th, 2025, so it's pretty timely.
Yeah, for sure. Everything kind of feels a little uncertain right now.
Well, especially with, Trump winning a second term.
That's true. Things can be a little unpredictable with him.
So remind me, why are people worried about Trump and tariffs?
Well, I mean, he has a history of using tariffs, right? Like back in his first term, he put a 25% tariff on goods from Canada.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And then there was that 10% tariff on goods from China.
Ah, right. So basically the wine industry is kind of nervous he's going to do the same thing to them.
Exactly. Especially Italian winemakers. They send like almost a quarter of all their wine to the U.S.
Well, really?
Yeah. In 2024, it was almost 1.9 billion euros worth. So, yeah, I imagine they're a little on edge.
Yeah, I can't say I blame them. So this is all about like a preemptive strike, trying to get ahead of any potential tariffs.
Yeah, it seems like it. Stock up now while things are still, relatively calm.
And the article mentions that Prosecco imports actually jumped by 41% back in November.
November. Wasn't that the same month as the election?
Yeah, it was. So clearly those importers are, I guess you could say they're taking this seriously.
Yeah, definitely. But there's more to it than that. You see, the stockpiling actually started even earlier.
Oh, really? Like when?
Between January and October of 2024, Prosecco shipments to the U.S. were already up by 17%.
So they were anticipating something might happen even before the election.
Seems that way. They're already, getting ready.
But where are they even putting all this extra Prosecco? Didn't the pandemic create a whole warehouse storage issue?
That's the million-dollar question, right? You remember that the Silicon Valley Bank wine report that came out at the end of January?
Yeah, vaguely. What did it say again?
Basically, it confirmed what everyone in the industry was already thinking. U.S. wine warehouses, they're full, like completely packed with surplus stock from the pandemic.
So importers are scrambling to stockpile Prosecco, but there's nowhere to put it.
It's a pretty crazy situation.
And a risky one, right?
Yeah.
What if demand doesn't actually increase? What if people don't buy all this extra Prosecco?
Well, that's where things get really, really interesting.
Okay, so we were talking about this potential Prosecco showdown.
Yeah, like what happens if everyone's wrong and nobody actually wants to drink all this Prosecco?
Right, like are we all going to be swimming in bubbly? I mean, I wouldn't hate that, but
I mean, sure, it sounds fun, but think about what happens if there's just way too much of something. Even Prosecco.
Okay. Yeah, like supply and demand and all that.
Exactly. If the supply goes up but the demand doesn't change, then something's got to give.
And usually that something is the price right. Like it gets cheaper.
Right. So you might end up finding some super cheap Prosecco, which sounds great for you, but
not so great for the people making it.
Exactly. If they have to suddenly sell it for way less, their profits are going to take a big hit.
And that could mean less money to invest in making, really good quality Prosecco.
Right. Like they might have to cut corners or something, and that could end up hurting, the whole Prosecco industry in the long run.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And then there's the environmental impact too, right?
Yeah, you're right. All those ships hauling Prosecco over from Italy, that's got to add to, carbon emissions and all that.
It's like our love for Prosecco is literally leaving a footprint.
It's true. So it's not just about, tariffs and trade wars and stuff. It's about the environment too and the livelihoods of the people who actually make the Prosecco.
Yeah, it's way more complicated than it seems at first. But okay, so let's say Trump does go ahead with these tariffs. Does that mean all this stockpiled Prosecco suddenly becomes super valuable?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? You'd think if those tariffs hit, imported Prosecco would get a lot more expensive.
Right. So the importers who stockpiled would be laughing all the way to the bank.
Maybe, but it really depends on what you, the consumer, decide to do.
Oh, so like,
Uh-huh.
what if the price gets so high that people just switch to something else?
Exactly. Like, what if everyone's suddenly like, forget that, I'm drinking kava from now on?
Or, or some American sparkling wine, right? There are other options out there.
There are, and those importers are taking a big gamble that people will stay loyal to Prosecco even if it costs more.
So basically, they're betting on us to keep drinking it no matter what.
Pretty much, yeah. But there are all these other factors too, like trends and marketing and stuff.
Oh, right. Like, a really good marketing campaign could convince people to stick with Prosecco, even if it's more expensive.
Totally. Or maybe some other sparkling wine comes along and just blows everyone away.
So it's not just about beating the tariffs. It's about winning over, like, our taste buds.
It is. It's a constant battle for your attention and your dollars. But there's one more layer to this whole story that we haven't even touched on yet.
Ooh, okay. I'm intrigued. What is it?
It has to do with the potential long-term impact on the entire Prosecco market, and it's kind of a big deal.
Okay, now I'm really curious.
Well, you'll have to stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive to find out.
All right, lay it on me. What's this big long-term impact we got to worry about?
Well, think about it this way. What happens when there's just way too much of something?
The price goes down. We kind of talked about that already with the...
Yeah, but think bigger picture. Like, what if this whole stockpiling thing, what if it kind of backfires?
Okay, so like the tariffs hit, the price goes up, the importers who stocked up are happy, then what?
Then nobody buys it.
Oof.
Yeah. They're stuck with all this Prosecco they paid a premium for, and now suddenly they got to lower the price just to get rid of it.
So even if those tariffs do happen, they could still lose.
Oh, yeah. And then everyone else who's selling Prosecco has to lower their prices too, right? To compete.
So it hurts the whole industry.
Exactly. It messes with the whole delicate balance. Italian producers, they got to make a profit, right? If they're not, the quality could go down.
Wow. So it's like this ripple effect, starting with the tariffs, then the importers, then even the people making the Prosecco in Italy.
It all comes back to you, the drinker. If people are willing to pay more for Prosecco, even with tariffs, then maybe things kind of balance out.
But if not...
And those importers are in trouble.
So what you're saying is our love of Prosecco could actually be bad for Prosecco.
In a way, yeah. It's like if we all love it too much and they overproduce, it could backfire. It's this weird cycle.
Man, that's kind of wild. It makes you think about, like, every time you pick up a bottle of something,
Yeah.
there's this whole global story behind it.
That's what's so fascinating about the wine world, isn't it? It's connected to everything. Politics, economics, the environment, culture.
Yeah.
You name it.
So what could we, the average wine drinkers, do?
Be curious. You know, pay attention to where your wine comes from, how it's made, all of that.
Basically, just be more mindful about what we're drinking.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to try new things. Maybe step outside that Prosecco bubble every once in a while. There's a whole world of delicious sparkling wines out there just waiting to be discovered.
That's a great point. Okay, well, I think we've officially uncorked all the mysteries of this Prosecco stockpile.
World along the way.
To all our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and remember to keep exploring.
Cheers to that.